Hi everyone, my name is PK and here I have Subith Dey, who is a client of the Property Investment Accelerator. Subith has bought four investment properties all off market in literally 6 months. He got them off market within 1 or 2 weeks of starting to search for off market deals. I'm incredibly proud of him. He's a former chef, now disability support worker, and he's transitioning his career as well. Very inspiring story. You know, you don't need to be on a high income or even above average income to get deals like this, get multiple deals if you know the right strategies, the right methods. We'll go through how he's built his portfolio, how he's basically, I don't know if this is the right way to say it, turned his life upside down. Like that's what I gleaned from talking to him so far. He's done everything to be able to build this portfolio. And I think that's really inspiring because, and I'm not just saying this because, he's made sacrifices and that's sometimes what it takes. And so that's a really inspiring piece. We'll go through kind of where he's bought, why he's bought there, and just, different things. Like he's negotiated $25,000 off after already signing the contract. So many things like that. I'm very pleased to have him on, and thank you so much, Subit, for not only making time. Of course, you're in Darwin, so it's probably starting to become quite warm up there. But also, yeah, just for being a really good role model and example for the wider community.
Thank you so much, PK, for a lovely introduction. I'm glad to be here back again. So thank you.
No, no, it's my pleasure. Well, let's start from the start. I mean, there's so much to talk about, but you used to be a chef, and correct me if I'm wrong. That was your first job after you arrived or migrated into Australia.
Mhm.
Um, like what kind of piqued your interest about property or property investing?
It all started during the COVID time. So back 2020, I have no job in Darwin. Like everything was shut. So I used to work in a hotel here. Then after that, during the COVID time, no job. I tried to apply other places. Luckily, I got a job for my skill assessment in one of the remotest part in NT, you can say in Australia. It was in Vadai Port Kitts, so like 6 hours drive pretty much from Darwin City, and I got a job there. It's very isolated, remote. Like there's no road pretty much to go there.
Wow.
So then after I worked there for a couple of months there, then moved, I got a job in one of the hotel in Kakadu National Park. So that was a lovely experience. And that's how it started. I started watching your videos, the podcast. I remember like in Kakadu where I used to work, like in Coinda National Park, like a Coinda. So we only got a 3G there, right? There was no 4G at all, no 5G.
Mhm.
So I used to watch your videos in it's like a 240 pixel or 360 because there's no network at all. And when it rains, like there's no network kind of. We had a no network outage for a couple of weeks sometime.
Oh, wow.
So that was one of the inspiration. I was seeing the result, like the clients were getting, like all the students are learning. I've seen so these were quite inspiration to me. Like so then I started doing the data driven approach, how you teach, and then implementation. That's really important when you learn and implement the process and start getting results. So that's I just follow like everyone.
Right. And so what was your goal or what is your goal from property investing? You're obviously a hard worker. Is it to leave the workforce or is it, I mean, I'm not going to put words in your mouth, but like why are you making all these sacrifices?
Sure, like I see the why factor, like why I want to do because I think like with a property investment, it's a long-term goal, right? And with if you have a correct data, there are 15,200 suburbs approximately across Australia. When you do the research, get the right property at the right location, good cash flow, it will help you to build your passive income as well as building your like a building wealth tool kind of, right? So that will help me eventually get my like a passive income, and I don't have to work really hard. I feel like I can really enjoy with the family, and I'm just 31 now, so that's my goal is like before 40 I want to have a couple of properties, and I'm also thinking of doing some flip. That way it will help me to build couple of properties in that long run. So that's
Right.
one of my goal, like everyone's dream to get a home when I
Mm.
migrated from India. So I see people buying house, and also I surrounded myself in that way, like those who got property. So after I joined your course, I got a good people around me, like from the community. Community is always amazing, as I always said. When you have a beautiful community and you get lots of support, and during the mentorship also we got the chance to ask questions. So that's a more of a personalized. So I feel so that helps a lot in this,
Right.
and mindset. That way it helps to have a different set of mindset kind of, and help you
Well,
achieve
let's
that
go
goal.
through the various properties that you bought. Where did you buy your first one? And I mean, that was
Mm.
your first investment property. So what was that process like?
Sure. So I start looking properties in like March kind of this year, 2024. So started with the suburb analyzing, and out of 15,000 suburb, which is growing and how is it performing, check the different indicators, then look for the chart and what's the trend like. Then first one I got it, my offer got accepted in March, and that was in Kerwin, Townsville. So it's a beautiful house, like 3 bedroom, and it got a one bathroom and two parking. And I saw it was there is good potential on it. I can see the value. It was a fourth bedroom. I have converted recently to fourth bedroom, that study area, and it was big enough. And that way, able to help me with the extra cash flow, and I'm able to add value because I was looking for that potential, right? So we got around 441 in that one, and current valuation I checked yesterday. So it's a 583 with 3 bedroom. So I'm expecting like another maybe 10, 20 grand over that price. So it's very conservative approach. So Townsville is really hot at the moment, like as we all know. So luckily, I was on the early boat for
Mhm.
that. So not very early. Like I feel like yeah, I got a good deal on that one. So it was a off market, and I was bidding against so many buyers. So luckily, I it was a quite exclusive property from the sales agent, because it's all with the relationship we've built over a long time,
Mhm.
right? And I would try to understand the vendor's circumstances, what's the motivation for his selling the property, so that will help me to get that property.
Right.
And
So
yeah,
that
and
was
the
bought
rent.
for 441 in March, did you?
April
Oh, April 2020.
settlement, yeah.
Yeah, settlement 2024. We're recording this right now in December 2024. So that's, whatever that is, 8 months or something like that.
Mm,
And then you're saying it's worth, with that extra bedroom, probably around almost 600,000, around 600, 580 plus 10 or 20 for the extra bedroom. So that's about
mm,
150 or $160,000 of equity
mhm.
in 8 months, which is. Um, did you? I mean, you got this off market just within 1 or 2 weeks. You said it's a relationship thing. How did you build a relationship so quickly? Because oftentimes, I think new investors, and you were a new investor before this
Mhm.
property, think that you need to have years of relationship with an agent to get these like secret quote unquote deals. How did you
Mhm.
build that relationship, and how can people that are watching or listening to this repeat what you did?
Yeah, sure. Like when you need to know clarity, like you need to have a proper clarity what I'm exactly looking in that area, right? And you try to call the best sales agent in that team. So I not only stick to the top, I also stick to other like 20, because what happened when the hot market you'll not get lots of responses from the sales team because they're really busy. So what you do, you try to don't stick to the top 10, or try to call more than as many as possible, right? Every 10 you get one response, so you call 100 sales agent, you got 10 response, right? So
Hmm.
that's how strategy I fall, and try to be very genuine, like not try to be like, you are a genuine buyer, just get ready everything like your pre-approvals and all, so that it will help you to proceed really fast. That's what they really like if you have a pre-approval ready and you know what you are doing, so that time you get a lots of good response from them. So and that way you can get an exclusive off market sometimes, and like a pre-market, off market, silent listing. So and sometimes like there are so many reasons, distressed property, you can get a distressed property and shorter settlement. That's what they are not looking for, like a price point, they're looking for more into settlement term. So
Right.
that's the good chances you can get property. So that's okay.
And Kerwin was and is such a good suburb. You bought it at the right time, of course. I'm not saying it's not going to grow, it's going to continue to grow, but the ideal buying
Mhm,
window is probably past now. As you know,
mhm,
just this week we did our quarterly update on the client mentoring
mhm.
call on the best suburbs under 600K, and there was just one left in Townsville under 500K. I'm pretty sure it won't be under 500K for too much longer. But what do you
Mhm.
think about Townsville? Generally speaking, this was your first investment property. Presumably, you've done a lot of research on both the suburb but also the town. Can you give people your thoughts on Townsville going forward?
Yeah, sure. Like Townsville, like 170,000 population, if I'm not wrong. Well diversified. There's so many projects are going on, like defense heavily. Um, Government are spending on defense and all in that area. So I think, and Kerwin is really close to the city. Like I think 15 kilometers from. I just checked. I never been to Townsville, so I just
Neither.
checked
I do want to
online.
go though. I have a property there. Must make a visit one time.
Yeah, so I think there's a lots of potential. The most important thing, what I feel when I was doing the local due diligence through the sales agent, right? So I was seeing like people, it's not just the investor are driving the market. It's like a more owner occupied. That's who are um, putting the price pressure on the market, right? So
Hmm.
I know like when they are doing the open home or maybe in the off market also, literally I saw like 20 youths are outside the houses. So when I do the walkthrough videos for myself and for friends when we were doing so, I can see like there's a lots of pressure. And when I talk to the property managers local out there, they give me like a proper feedback what's going on in the market. It's not always the data what you see, it's local due diligence is as important when you in planning to invest on the property.
Right.
So lots of potential. Still, I can see there's lots of potential in Townsville market. It's not slowing down because the prices keeps increasing every day, every week, every month. So
So
definitely, it's
true.
not slowing down. Looks
So
like.
true. It very much was and is the next Perth. 2021 was slow for Townsville. That's when we started buying there. 22 was like a little bit disappointing. I thought it would have picked up by then, but 23 it
Mhm.
just, and then 24 up. And I don't think it's going to turn around anytime soon, but of course it can't grow forever. Nothing can. But I think it's a really good point. It's really easy to like just be on our armchair saying, "Oh, it's all investor driven." But as you say, when you do your
Mhm.
local due diligence, when you have that relationship with a local property manager, ask what's going on, local sales agents, then you realize, yeah, this economy is really something different from 5 or 10 years ago when the crime rate used to be like
Mhm.
really high, when unemployment was almost 10%. Nowadays, there's a lot of interstate migration into
Mhm.
Townsville and also from around regional Queensland, and there's genuine owner-occupier interest, both in terms of first home buyers, as you said, a lot of young people,
Mhm.
and to some extent upgraders as well. So I think that's a really good point. And so presumably after this first property, your second property was it easier to buy or was it just as hard?
No, like that's how a building. Like that's how I started building relation, just calling sales agent. It was like a bit, I would say like I was just interested into property, so I just calling randomly, and I was checking the data. Then I come across this Rockhampton suburb called Gracemere. That was I think that's a really good property, like 2012 built, 422 and 800 meters square. So I always prefer bigger land size for me, and generally 30 to 40 years old. So on average, all the properties we got is 700 meters square to above, right? So this we got in Gracemere and yield around 5.5. But before I settle only, that was already only. So I'm expecting like 550 around mark at this moment. So maybe around 5.8 to 6 yield we can say. So I'm comfortable. I'm comfortable holding. I'm not bothering much on the rental when I can see good capital growth in that area. So that was the second one. Then third one we got for a friend. It's in Thuringowa Central. It's in Townsville again. So it's again beautiful property, high set, and we got that property, and pretty much we building inspection we did, and we are able to negotiate further like on building and pest condition.
Hmm.
So that was good again. So like all these I just follow the data approach and building relation. So it's not very tough to get when you know what you're doing actually, and uh, clarity, and communicate very well with your sales agent what exactly you're looking for. So not just random, like, okay, I'm looking for a house. Now, what house? Solid house, brick house, what's the land size, 3 bedroom, 4 bedroom. So everything you need to communicate really well. So that will help you, give you the clarity to the sales agent, and they will help you. Definitely, they will help you. That's what they they want to close the sale as early as possible. So
Right. I really like how you're trying to give some tangible advice for everyone who's consuming this content so that they can go off and do it. And I'm just trying to ram home this point that every time you went to a new suburb and tried to find a property, you got it off market within 1 or 2 weeks of trying. And as you say, it's just by being clear on what you want, communicative, and it's just about picking up the phone. You can't achieve much in life these days, without actually communicating with someone. But it's amazing that you may not have ever heard of that person. They may have not have ever heard of you. But if you know how to communicate, you know the data, you know how to look at things, you have the script, you sound professional because you're educated, how it's remarkable how instantly a professional relationship can be formed, and then all of a sudden they're giving you off market deals, and no doubt you'll keep in touch with these agents from which you have already bought. And
exactly,
as the months go by, they'll just give you more and more off market deals. But it's so easy to
exactly.
form those relationships, and I think that's the beauty of it. What do you think of Rockhampton then? I mean, Gracemere was a great suburb, another that we're no longer really buying in because it's
Mhm.
grown too much. But Rocky, more central Queensland, how do you perceive this one in terms of its perhaps short or long-term growth prospects?
Yeah, I think it's one of the good place to buy back then, right? I know people are still buying. We've been looking getting off market these days also. So when we see the price, what they're advertising for, so I can definitely see people are buying, and I can see it's a well diversified area. I think 80,000 population around, and there are lots of owner occupied, and like anything when we like 25 30%, like 25, like 35 to 65, when you have a tenant, like a owner occupied, that's really putting the price pressure in that particular suburb. Its location is important, but as you always say, like 70% of suburbs do the heavy lifting for your capital growth. So I can see lots of potential on it in that region, and people are still buying because those local people who are living there, they need a home. And so yeah, it's a good overall for me, that
And can
it's a
and
mm,
go on, go ahead, Subit, finish that off, please.
sure, like it's not very far, like I think 15 to 20 minutes from the city, and Gracemere is well well equipped, lots of not like good facilities are there, and it's many professional lives there. So that's one of the reason I choose that suburb. And obviously when we do the research and data, well, and don't be caught into too much of data analysis paralysis, because we keep missing the property. That's very important. When I started, I was should I go this, just do your research. It will hardly take you a couple of hours to select the top suburbs, what you are performing, and accordingly you can just start looking property. So don't get into too much. Always look for all these factors that you teach in the uh, like in your course, like building approval, days on market, stock on the market, inventory, how much is it? So that will, you can predict with the data driven, like, okay, this going to perform really well on the long run or short term or a medium run. That's something which I have learned, and it will help me all my life now in the investment journey.
Yeah, it's a permanent skill, it's not property investing is not rocket science. Everyone who knows how to do it properly is doing very similar thing, and anyone can learn it. And as you said, it takes a couple of hours really. But I want to ask you a question. But there are so many people who just get into this analysis paralysis. They'll spend 6 months or 12 months on different YouTube channels or Facebook groups or podcasts, etc. And then, they'll select a city or town and then they'll shift it because of something someone else said. They'll select a suburb, but then they'll doubt themselves because something they read or heard somewhere. How were you able to have so much conviction so quickly? You just within a few hours, you're like, yep, this is Townsville, it's Kerwin, or it's Gracemere and Rocky, and I'm just going to go for it. Like, did external noise impact you, or you were just
No,
like not so bothered?
not at all actually. When like when I look at the data, I can see all this data with the demand and supply, right? It's everything is demand, supply, land appreciate, building appreciate. That's the general rule, right? So when we look at those metrics, like in the demand terms and the supply terms, that will, I can well predict like how it's going to perform. Like when you have a good vacancy rate under like 1.5, 1.3, lower the better for you. Imagine like 1 year you have 1% vacancy. That's really amazing, right? So basically you'll not have any vacant. It will be always occupied, your house. So that will help you with the good cash flow. So I look in that way. So there are so many metrics when we do the research on the like analyze the suburbs, that will help you to get the top suburbs which hasn't grown a lot in last like 36 months, and that way you can see there's a good potential on that market. And yeah, it's always good, don't follow the herd like what everyone is doing, and don't get caught up like if someone's saying, okay, buy this, buy that. No, just do your research, do your due diligence. That's very important, because no one cares your money then as much as you do, as you always say in the course. So yeah, that's how it's important. Like you need to
Yeah.
have your own research, and don't be regret in future like, okay, I shouldn't have followed this. So I have made some costly mistake like in the past during investment when I was doing like stocks, cryptos and all. So I don't want to repeat. That's what the beauty of this course. You have saved me like lots of money um, for making any kind of mistake, and it's a property. So we are leveraging like 80 LVR to 90 LVR, those range, right? So it's a beauty of property, right? You can leverage and get your cash on return on whatever you're investing if you are really selective of that particular location. So location always, it plays a really important role when you do
Yeah.
the capital growth
And just on
perspective.
that point of LVR, you mentioned 80 to 90%. I understand you actually shifted career. You went from being a
Mhm.
chef to improve your income. You went as a social worker or disability support worker, I should say,
Mhm.
which was
Mhm.
a step up in terms of your income. And you did that so you could have more borrowing capacity. How does it make you feel having a lot of debt? Like no one starts off rich, quote unquote. When no one when they're buying their first property for 400K is like a rich person, quote unquote, for whatever that's worth. So, being, sort of being a hardworking person and trying to build your financial future, how do you
Mhm.
feel like going to sleep every night, knowing that there's all this debt? Interest rates are relatively high compared to the last 4 to 5 years. How do you
Mhm.
come to terms with that?
So yeah, so like comparatively, I believe like when you have the right approach, like it's going to perform well. So it's not bothering much like in terms of rate hikes and all, because I know like it's a long-term process and I can't just rely on 6 months to get it appreciated. I'm just holding it, and with a good data, it's showing a good trends. And suppose I'm for 400 to 500 properties, I'm pretty much I need 70 to 80K, like for 12% deposit or 10%. So when you see, you're ultimately getting like 70 to 100, like those properties that has appreciated like 140 and 100K, right? So pretty much you can say that it's a well spent, like instead of sitting in your cash saving account, it's not going to do anything. And with the high inflation rate, so ultimately you're losing value of money every year. So better, like we should invest, I think. That will help you to inflate like inflation, like a hedge fund, kind of hedge fund, you can say. And leverage is beautiful, like if you know, and your property is growing on a compound basis, right? If you have a good compound rate on that property, so you are able to recover that money easily. So I think it's good to have a couple of diversified portfolio, not just on property, like in general, like a shares, ETF, like not crypto, like whatever you're comfortable with. So and beauty is like you are getting the rental yield. Like I prefer rent investing, so I'm living in rent. I have the investment property, so you're getting the cash from the tenants, and basically they are paying your like a mortgage kind of. And it's the current property is not a positively gear, but it can be positively gear if it depends. When I refinance and all, it's like when I going to do the refinance, I have the numbers now, so comes around like 70 to 75 LVR. So definitely it's growing a lot, so I can see. So
I think
so
that's a
that's a
great thing
wise
about it.
decision.
It's not like like sometimes if we're not so educated on property, it feels like, should I buy now or has everything already grown and now it's going to start dropping? There's
Mhm.
that fear factor, but when you actually start to understand data, you find that it's actually not a like an abyss of uncertainty. You can actually see, okay, there's like 12, 15, 20 data points where the trend is
Mhm.
going in the right direction quite
Mhm.
steeply. There's no way that this suburb can stop growing, or there's no way this suburb can fall, or there's no way the suburb can continue flat. It has to start growing. And I think that's the beauty of it. And then when you do it once, you get confidence that, yep, I did it. I put real money in
Mhm.
and 60K,
Exactly.
70K. I made 140K in eight months or something. It's like, yeah, this thing works. And I think that gives a lot of confidence. I want to ask you, because you're based in Darwin, you're rent vesting. What do you think about? I know you don't think you've actually bought investment property in Darwin, but what do you think about
Mhm.
Darwin housing market? I mean, I have my perspective, which I've shared
Mhm.
before, but you're there, you're a local person. What are you sensing?
Yeah, like I've been watching Darwin for some time now, a few months. So yeah, with the recent grant, like in October, they have started. People are buying, like so many owner occupied with the new grant. First home buyers, they are into the market now, I can see. And when you have, I regularly talk to the sales agent and seeing what's coming up. So definitely, if something really attractive, lucrative for the investment, maybe I can also look here. And there are like Darwin, you have to be, it's like similar like a Townsville, I would say, in terms of population, like 146,000 in 2001. So I can see like some datas are really improving. Some of the locations like 0830 and 0810, that's a postcode. So you have to be very specific on that, like a suburb factors. I know like some peoples have bought like they are educated in terms of investment and bought a property in places like in Palmerston. So and in terms of investment, they have grown like 70 80K. in it's not short term you are it's skyrocketing or something, but yeah, when you see, look at the data, like particular street, how it's going to perform, then definitely it works well. I have seen like it's not very hot at the moment, can be a good buy because it's really hasn't grown a lot in couple of years now. So well, I would say like look at the data and just see the trends, how it's working. So there's lots of pressure because as across Australia, there's housing prices everywhere. So good thing is like rental yield is really good here. If you can see, like I'm just renting a two-bedroom apartment here,
Hmm.
and 450 to 480 kind of you're getting. So definitely it's 6.5 yield for like a like a 310 350,000 apartment. So I'm not suggesting apartment. I'm just saying like in terms of I always prefer house, the big land. So yeah, even the land you can get a really good rental yield for help you to cash flow. So if you can like set and forget kind of property, you have couple of properties already in other states, high growth, and if you want to diversify for you can definitely Darwin is a good place. It's very chill here to work and all, like nice beach around. Literally you can go like 20 minutes, you can go to other city to for a job like how I do.
Yeah.
And so it's a beautiful place, like in to live here and work here, I feel. So that's why I'm here almost like since 2016. I'm here like 8 years now in Darwin, Kakadu. So I'm Territorian kind of now. So I've been here long now.
Amazing, amazing. Yeah, if there was like another or a new project like Inpex, or something like that, then, I feel that Darwin has fertile soil, metaphorically speaking. And if there was
Mhm.
some sort of employment spark, a new LNG project or something like that, then I think Darwin would go up 40%, just like
Exactly.
that. But it just needs something, because just because something is affordable doesn't mean it will go up. But like you said, all the ingredients are there, but it's probably slightly higher risk investment strategy, but
Mhm.
suitable for those with the
Diversify.
requisite strategy and approach. So no,
Sure.
that's awesome. And just
Mhm.
before I finish off, Subith, was maybe I will ask you, what are two pieces of advice for anyone who's watching or listening, and they are perhaps in your boat where you were. You're wanting to create a passive income long term. You're not really sure how to do it. Maybe you've tried other things like stocks and it hasn't really worked out so much, but you're fearful. You're not confident. What are two things that people could do today, i.e., when they watch or listen to this, to take the next step forward?
Sure, definitely. Like, as educate yourself, that's very important because you are putting your hard-earned money to buy something. So educate yourself, first advice, and do your research, like a due diligence, local due diligence, like if you want to be in this game, because it's not a short term, like you're holding a property for long term basis. So that will help you with the building portfolio and help you passive income. So instead of sitting money in the cash, it's not growing at all. So better, I would say, invest. So invest, 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 I would say.
Yeah,
So
I would say the same. Obviously, I would say it because I have an agenda, that or a apparent agenda anyway. But yeah, it's amazing. Like those who have made money, they always have the same advice: invest, 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 with or without me, with or without you. Just at least get some skin in the game, and then you'll gain confidence, and you won't ever want to take that skin out of the game, because you'll see how much it's doing for you. So, Subit, thank you so much for coming on. I know that now you're helping your friends, which is a sort of natural. I find that a lot of my clients, when you've done something well, it's only natural to help others. So I think that's really cool of you as well. I want to thank you for doing the course and availing the
Mhm.
mentorship. It's always a pleasure, and I think you shared your story in our private mentoring calls that happen every week with our members, and everyone gave a lot of positive feedback. So thank you for also giving back to obviously the client community, and now to the wider community. Your mindset is quite, yeah, is quite phenomenal. And it's, I think, the first time I've interviewed someone from Darwin, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, PK. And I would shoot out to the beautiful community and thanks for all the guidance here uh, in this investment journey. So I don't think it would be possible. And always one more thing I forgot to mention, like I have a beautiful team, like a good mortgage broker. In which is recommended in your course, and I follow those good property managers, so they play a really crucial role when I'm adding value in terms of adding like extra bedrooms and all. They helps me a lot, like in terms of managing my property well. So I'm stress free, right? I don't have to look back and to be onto it. So it's really important. You have need to have a good team when you are in the investment journey. And
Awesome. Actually, I promised that I would ask this question at the start, and I forgot to ask it. I think for your third or perhaps the fourth property that you transacted, you negotiated like 20 or $25,000 after the building and pest inspection.
yes,
Um,
that was the fourth property,
Fourth
like
property.
in that's in the Rockhampton as well.
Yeah.
So we are able to negotiate. So if you don't ask, you don't get, right? So I negotiated and on the basis of building and pest. So it's a good, like after bit of if I can add a value like in terms of extra bedroom, I'm able to get like 7 yield around. So that's really amazing. And getting properties under 350 in this market is really tough. So luckily we got that property. So that's always look around. You might get some good deals, you know. And
Amazing.
one more thing, like December is a really good time. Not many people's market, like a market is not moving as such, and very less competition. People are not interested selling or buying. So just look around. You might get a good deals because we got a couple of offers accepted in December. So I would highly recommend just look around.
Good
So
tip. No, good tip. And I really want to reiterate, if you don't ask, you don't get. Even like the smallest clauses in the course or even just like the smallest negotiation techniques, either with the sales agent, the return on investment. I mean, you just ask and you got 25,000 off. And it's
oh.
not like there was
Mhm.
like major structural issues that would have been a deal breaker. So yeah, I think you've done really well. So yeah, before we go on, I
Mhm.
could ask so many more questions, but should probably wrap it up.
Exactly.
Thank you
Let's
so
go
much,
for.
Subhit.
Thank you so much for having me, PK. Have a lovely day.
And thank you everyone for watching or listening. Hopefully, Subit's infectious smile and attitude has also rubbed off onto all of you. I really appreciate you being part of the community. There's more than, actually, I think there's almost 200 now of these client interviews. They're in the client results playlist on YouTube on my channel. Like I always say, honestly, don't mind if you do the course or not. Like, but at least go through them. They will serve just like Subit has to educate and inspire you, and then hopefully you can emulate his type of success, which is a credit to you. And so that's really why I'm doing these types of episodes and content again and again and again. Thank you for watching, listening, and thank you again, Subit.
Thank you so much, PK, for having me.